Look at the amount of bids on this domain. Why is this gaining so much traction? Why are these 15 bidders going crazy for this domain name that they have put 67 bids on it? What's up, everyone? Right now I'm at obviously expired domain names. I was checking the most active domain names on Godaddy. You can see over here, and I came across this name, cleanliving.com. Now look at the amount of bids it's getting. I was very curious, so we are over here. This is the Godaddy's auction. The domain name is cleanliving.com. Look at the amount of bids on this domain name, 67 bids. Right now the current bid is going at 5,755, as you can see. So what makes this domain name so much popular? Why is this gaining so much traction? Why are these 15 bidders going crazy for this domain name that they have put 67 bids on it? So the thing is, clean living. This is very simple, two simple English words with a .com. So the first thing that I like about this domain name is its simplicity. You can see over here, clean and living. I mean, it is going to connect to the masses because it is very simple English words, okay? And when these two keywords are combined, they create a very common phrase that people already understand. So you don't have to explain what these names actually mean. So this is actually one of the most important characteristics of a strong brandable domain name. Now, compare this name to a random startup name like Zeola, Cairo, Clairo. Those names may become brands, but the company has already spent billions of dollars explaining what they actually mean. But with this domain name, cleanliving.com, the meaning is already built into a name. When somebody hears about this domain name, they will know that, okay, this is about healthy living, maybe, organic products, nutrition, detox, okay, like a rehab facility, it just connects. That's what I meant to say. This is what makes the domain name way more interesting. So this is also a very versatile name. Multiple industries can get benefit from such a name. Now let's just talk about the price over here. The current price, you can see it's over here. You can see the amount of bids it's getting. So approximately 2 days are left for this auction to end. So what I wanted to tell you is, the amount of bids doesn't really mean that the domain name is worth $10, $20, $30,000. Auction activity tells you there is interest in the market, but interest and value are not exactly the same thing. So there are several reasons for a domain name to attract a lot of bids. The number one reason is multiple domain investors may like it. The number two, one or two serious end users may be bidding. You can see there are only 15 bidders and 67 bids. So there is, a clash going on between the bidders, maybe competing against each other. Let's just not forget the domain name is attracting attention because it is a clean two-word .com. So now you might be having a lot of questions, that is, what is the maximum price at which this still makes sense as an investment? So as I've always said, auctions tell a lot of story about a lot of domain names. For me, this domain name is actually quite valuable because it is very clean, very clean two words domain name. You just cannot go wrong with having such a domain name. So that's the reason I'll show you. Okay, over here, comparable domain names sold. Cleanliving.io, $1,500. Clean lifestyles, there are a lot of domain names that got sold with this keyword itself. So if I were to tell you a price tag for such a domain name, I would easily say that it can go up to like $10,000, $12,000, even $15,000. Because this is actually a good domain name, and it just fits in so many industries. If I would have this domain name, I would definitely go for something like a healthy habit, nutrition kind of thing, because to me that connects more. But let's see, this is the beauty of auctions, that you can obviously check after the auction ends that what if the platform is developed or not. Now what is this doing? So you can know that whether a company bought it, or maybe it was just for an investment purpose, or maybe the domain investor bought this domain name so that they can use for future, or even for reselling purposes. So we have only talked about the positive sides of having such a domain name, but what about the negatives? There might be something, right? And even this domain name has certain downsides to it. Now let me break this down to you. So if you're investing on domain names, you should never analyze only on the positive sides. Okay, so the number one risk of owning this domain name is this is somewhat generic. Now clean living is a phrase. Okay, cleanliving.com is a phrase that can obviously be a strength, but it can also be a weakness. So the domain name doesn't immediately tell you that this is a supplement company, or this is a skincare brand, or this is a cleaning company. So it is actually broad. So broad domain names can sometimes be harder to sell because you have to find the right buyer for it. You have to convince the buyers, to own such a domain name. So the number two risk can be The buyer pool may be limited than it appears. Millions of people may like the phrase clean living, but how many companies are actually willing to spend, let's say, $10,000-$20,000 for this domain name? Now that is the real question. So what I'm trying to tell you over here is a domain name can be highly memorable but still have limited buyer pool at a premium price. So risk number 3 is auctions could become overheated. Now, this is the biggest danger at this price, but if the auction moves to, let's say, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, the investment case can change. Now, the domain name may still be worth to a perfect end user, but as an investor, I would need to be careful to pay the end user's price unless I have a serious buyer, okay? I have something, or maybe I'm confident about its upside. So don't emotionally invest on domain names. Now, who would actually buy this? The first thing that comes to my mind is a wellness company, a company selling supplements, vitamins, organic foods, natural products. So clean living can go perfectly with this. So the number 2 can be an eco-friendly brand, a company that is into creating zero waste products, talking about the sustainability, environmental friendly household products. This can fit in very well when it comes to clean living. The number 3 can be a media company. I mean, imagine a website pushing contents about how to live healthier, simpler and more sustainable life. This can happen. So in the end, I want to make it very clear that this is not a guaranteed valuation. Domain valuations are very subjective, as I've talked about it a lot of times on a lot of domain names, over 700 domain names, okay, I've talked about, and this is what it is. So domain valuations are subjective, and the final auction results will tell us what the market is willing to pay. So at that particular moment, so if this domain name, let's say, sells for $10,000, doesn't mean that in the coming year this will be even more valuable, and the same goes to maybe it can be even more valuable. So domain auctions actually tell us the story that what the people, the businesses and the investors are going to pay as per the current market scenario.